Disney may be colorful and bright, but behind the scenes it is nothing but dark and scary hallways filled with regret. Welcome to Beyond the Screen, I'm Nate, and these are the top 10 dark Disney secrets they hid from fans. Number 10. Innuendoes. Disney is a brand that is aimed at wholesome family content able to be enjoyed by all. This means that sometimes they like to put some more adult jokes and references into their movies. Most are not obvious, but some definitely are. In Lion King, a certain three-letter word is spelled out in the clouds, a word which means making love. However, the most disturbing hidden meanings seem to come from one specific series, Toy Story. Now, there are the obvious in-your-face references, like when Buzz's wings spring open in excitement when he sees Jessie the cowgirl opening the door for Andy's dog, and can you blame him? But then there's the toys Sid makes. If you don't remember Sid, you must be really good at suppressing traumatic memories, because my god was this guy scary. Not only was he just freaky, he did freaky things to his toys. He ripped their heads off and other pieces just to stitch them back together in a monstrous Frankenstein toy, one of which is simply just a pair of legs attached to a fishing rod. The toy is meant to be a play on the word for a woman of the night that starts with hook. Learned that today. Not to mention the massive amount of things that are poking out of underwear areas throughout movies like The Little Mermaid and Beauty and the Beast. Seriously, Disney, you can try to hide it all you want, but you are thirsty, bud. Number 9. Where's My Momma? When it comes to Disney, the number of deceased or missing moms is insane. When you think about it, almost all of the iconic characters we know and love had no moms. Aladdin, Beauty and the Beast, Pocahontas, Cinderella, Bambi. Let's not forget how traumatic the first 2 minutes of Finding Nemo was. I never understood what happened to that mom as a kid. Spoiler alert, she's viciously eaten by a barracuda in front of her husband. Thanks, Disney! According to some inside sources close to the company's creator, Walt Disney, there was actually a reason for this. His own mother, Flora Disney, unexpectedly passed away after the animator bought her a house with his earnings from Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Unfortunately, the house had a faulty furnace that they attempted to repair, but it had apparently been unsuccessful. It ultimately leaked and asphyxiated her. Walt felt personally responsible for the tragedy since he bought that house, so it seems like this has had a lasting impact on him, as up until the early 2000s, there were basically no Disney moms. So many dark backstories for characters that have not been explored. Honestly, I think Disney should just make a movie set in the afterlife starring all of the deceased moms. Not even like trying to come back to life or anything, just like Nemo and Bambi's mom playing tennis or something. That would be cute. Number 8. The West Wing. Beauty and the Beast is one of the best Disney animated films ever created. It's beautiful, it's filled with catchy music, and all of the furniture is alive! First thing I need to point out here, if everything is alive and was once a person, does that mean that when they sit in chairs at the dining table that they're just like on someone? That was a person and now your butt is rubbing against them. The darkest thing about this movie that they would prefer you to forget is of course the West Wing, where Belle is never allowed to venture. But eventually she does, and we see that the West Wing is filled with furniture and spider webs. Now, while at first this isn't anything special, it is an old castle after all. Once you realize that the furniture is not moving and is actually like disintegrating, the dark truth is revealed. The chairs and cabinets were once staff members of the castle. Perhaps some were a bit older than most when the curse originally took place, and this would mean that their final days were spent as an old table or a coffee cup. Seeing as they aren't bodies that you can bury, and you can't just leave them on the street for someone to take because that would be messed up, he just jammed the deceased staff members into a room and forgot about them. There are so many things in that room. I can only imagine what the West Wing must have looked like after the curse was lifted and people turned back into people. Oh, I can smell it. Ugh. Number 7. 1-800-ME. The Santa Claus is one of the most classic Christmas movies to ever be released by Disney Studios. However, the film did cause a little bit of an issue when it was first released. In the movie, a reference is included by Tim Allen in which he ad-libbed the number for a scene, and the number was 1-800-SLAP-MY-BEHIND. Okay, it actually wasn't that. I can't say the real number on here because you might call it, but just look it up. Because while this was a funny line at the time, it turns out that that was a real phone number that would connect you with a woman of the night, whose job was to verbally pleasure the caller for a small fee charged by the minute. Several youngsters reportedly dialed in and racked up massive phone charges for their parents, not knowing what they were actually doing. Man, I feel bad for the dads in that situation. Honey, I swear it was the kids, I don't even know this number. Thanks to the massive amounts of complaints, Disney had to adjust the dialogue in the DVD release to be 1-800-POUND instead, which, I don't know, that's somehow worse. Pound is a very aggressive word. forward. However, if you own a VHS copy of this movie, those are the black bricks with the little strips of film inside them that you sometimes see in thrift stores. The original dialogue is still there, so sorry Disney, you tried to hide this one and it failed, because I still have a VHS tape. Number 6. Toy Story. The world of Pixar animated flicks already has cool theories, suggesting that every single computer animated movie released since Toy Story shares the same universe. That's right, like Cars, WALL-E, Monsters Inc. All of these exist in the same world, just in different places in time. However, it seems that this may extend beyond the world of Pixar. During a scene in the first film of Toy Story, a pattern can be seen on the carpet beneath Woody and Buzz in Sid's house. That may be familiar to some eagle-eyed horror movie fans. The carpet in question shares the exact same pattern as one throughout the floors of the Overlook Hotel in the 1980 film adaptation of The Shining. The number 237 was also used several times during the third Toy Story installment, which was the number on the famous hotel room in the Overlook, housing one of the gnarliest ghosts in the building. She still makes me uncomfortable today. The creator has exclaimed that he's a massive fan of the Shining universe, but he didn't confirm whether or not it shared the same world as Toy Story. But I don't know, the references were confirmed to be intentional and the evidence is clear. So perhaps we should keep an eye out for a Woody doll in the reboot of The Shining that I'm sure is in the works, because what won't they remake now? Everything is being remade. Number 5. The Little Mermaid. Now this entry is very dark and it covers the topic of consent and some physical altercations, so if that upsets you at all, please skip to the next entry, there is no harm done. The Little Mermaid is a Disney classic, but when you think about it, it really shouldn't be. The film follows the story of a young mermaid who trades her voice to a sea witch for legs, so that she can exist among the humans. As soon as she gets onto the shore, she meets Prince Eric, who falls madly in love with her, despite her literally never saying any words. Throughout the movie, we see Eric taking her around the island and the castle and introducing her to the townspeople, and it's cute, but she never says anything. She just smiles and continues about her day. One of the most glaring issues with this film that Disney would prefer us to forget is that Prince Eric almost kissed Ariel without her consent. During the famous Kiss the Girl scene, the lyrics are essentially just Sebastian telling Eric, hey man, it's good to go, kiss Ariel, it's the right time, it's the right mood, let's make it happen. But she didn't say that was okay, Mr. Krabs. He never actually plants the kiss until later on when she gets her voice back, but Disney actually tried to bury this in the new Little Mermaid live action movie. They changed the lyrics to include Eric needing permission to kiss the girl. Try all you want, Disney, the live action movie is trash and we are all going back to the OG for comfort. Number 4. Anna and Elsa's brother. The movie Frozen introduced us to the iconic princess Elsa and her sister Anna. The first movie received massive success, but like many Disney projects, the first few minutes are just rough to watch. In the opening of the film, the king and queen set off on a boat across the ocean, where they disappear following a shipwreck. In the movie, we're led to believe that they pass away at sea, but it was revealed by the film's directors Chris Buck and Jennifer Lee that they actually did survive the wreck and in fact washed up on shore of an island. Unbeknownst to them, the queen was pregnant with a little baby boy who was born on the island and left to fend for itself after the parents are mauled by a leopard. That's right, the truth behind the shipwreck in Frozen is that the princesses had a brother who grew up with apes and eventually became Tarzan. This is a really neat connection and the fans are excited to discover, but it means that Disney tried to hide the true, even more tragic story of what actually happened to their parents. They didn't just sink and that was it. No, they had to go and live a small life on an island and raise a child before they left the world. Like, I know Disney can be dark, but that's just depressing. Number 3. The fate of villains. Disney villains have often found themselves in some pretty rough situations. Thankfully, at the end of the movie, most are either slain or they're locked away forever. But the early days of Disney included some dark fates. One of the most disturbing is that of the Lion King baddie Scar. While he definitely received his karma being eaten alive by a wild pack of hyena, it was revealed that the hyena must have been pretty careful because in the movie Hercules, Scar briefly appeared as a pelt that the titular Hercules was trying on. Okay, ew. So it's okay because it's Scar, but like what about all the other people who passed away in Disney movies? You know, what happens to them? Scar being a pelt is just a hint to what might be going on behind the scenes. You know, like whatever did happen to his brother Mufasa after he fell? Did the same people that found Scar find him? Is there a pelt out there somewhere of the priest from the Hunchback of Notre Dame? I hope not. That dude needs to stay in the fire that they dropped him in. Here's my biggest question. What happened to Ursula's body after she's taken out at the end of The Little Mermaid? She's like 100 feet tall. Is there just a massive octopus carcass floating in the ocean now? They can try to hide it as much as they want, but if Scar can be a pelt, then the worst villain fates we can imagine, they're probably pretty accurate. Number 2. The Three Little Pigs. Three Little Pigs is probably one of the most universally known children's stories to ever exist. Three pigs hiding from the big bad wolf who tries to blow their house down. As with most animated Disney classics, The Three Little Pigs is based on a much darker story. The story actually follows three pigs avenging the slaying of their father, because if you look on the back of the wall as the pigs play piano, there is a framed photo of a sausage, and it just says father underneath. The reason is, in the original story, their dad is graphically stolen and turned into sausage links. The three pigs snap, and they are now highly defensive of themselves and their homes. So when a wolf comes around trying to get its next meal, the pigs took action. In the Disney film, the three little pigs beat the wolf and he runs away never to be seen again. It's a very wholesome ending. The original story ends with the wolf crawling through the brick chimney only to be trapped in a boiling pot in a fireplace, where he is cooked alive and eaten by the pigs. Yeah, can't put that in a kids movie. They did their best to hide the original tale behind a colorful and short little cartoon, but not only is there a sausage in a picture frame that says dad, but there's also a photo of their mom feeding 7 pigs. So like, what happened to the other 4? Huh? Can we get a prequel please? Prequel movie? Three Little Pigs Origins. And at number 1, The Blatant Unfortunately, a large number of Disney movies were released during a time in America where concepts like ethnic or racial sensitivity and political correctness, they just didn't exist. As a result, Disney has done their best to keep their past hidden, but it's just not good enough. In fact, one movie was so bad that it was banned upon release and Disney could not physically release it to the public. And talk about that more in a minute. For now, let's talk about the movies that make us say, that's not cool. Dumbo from 1941. The elephant encounters a group of crows who have been identified as racist caricatures of African Americans. While their actual role in the film is kind of positive, they're like the only ones that actually help Dumbo, the way they speak, act, move, everything is just so obviously a stereotype. Another example is a terrible portrayal of Native Americans in the original Peter Pan cartoon, where they're literally drawn with red skin and they sing what is probably one of the most racist songs ever put in a Disney movie. You know the one. But that's not even close to the worst. The worst was a movie called Song of the South, which you may have never heard of because Disney actually never released it. The movie relied heavily on racial stereotypes and caricatures that has pegged it as the most offensive film ever put on tape. They tried to fix this by changing details in live action remakes, even closing down a ride at their theme park because it has some pretty nasty history behind it. Despite them trying to make us forget about what happened, we will never forget that scene in Peter Pan. Seriously, who animated that? And those are the dark Disney secrets that they tried to hide from fans. Did we miss any good ones? Let us know in the comments below. If you made it to the end of this video, a copy of Peter Pan will arrive at your door in 3 business days, and you can't return it. Leave a like on this video if you enjoyed our content. It means a lot to us here at the channel. Thanks for stopping beyond the screen today, and we'll see you next time. Hey, what's up?
I'm handsome, what do you mean? Welcome to Beyond the Screen.
Disney may be actually, I'm gonna move closer. There we go. Disney may be colorful and